blue carpet. I told him. I said, listen, Buck, just because I'm going on vacation, there's no reason why the new carpet can't be installed while I'm gone. The carpet man has the order. He knows exactly what I want. All you have to do is let him in. Then Buck gave me that look, that condescending, poor me, I'm married to a woman who has a black belt mouth look. I was preparing for our first real vacation in 12 years. He said he didn't want to go. He said he wanted some man cave time and that he hadn't experienced actual quiet since Billy, our oldest, was born. So I thought to myself, if it's quiet you want, Bucky, it's quiet you shall have. I took care of everything just like I always do. Packaged meals, labeled and in the freezer. House cleaned and scheduled for cleaning in 6 days. Bills paid up to next month. Yard maintenance to be done over the weekend. I arranged for Billy, 11, and Marcy, 9, to stay with my mom for the entire 2 weeks. Before I closed that door and left for my trip, I smiled to myself with satisfaction that all would be well, because all in the world he had to do was to supervise the carpet installation. Before I closed the door and left for my trip, I smiled to myself with satisfaction that all would be well, because all in the world that he had to do was supervise the carpet installation. 2 weeks later, I breezed in from Guadalajara, arms loaded down with piñatas. I carefully opened the doors so not to disturb his quiet. As I turned the knob, I quivered with anticipation about seeing the new carpet, the crystal aqua blue medium pile carpet I had selected. And what do I see? Red. Dead red. The ugliest maroon you've ever laid your eyes on. Buck had changed the order. Said it wasn't maroon. Said it was burgundy, the color of his alma mater. Florida University. Go F you. He said I didn't have good taste or I would have liked it too. He actually said that. For years, my therapist told me I caused Buck's repugnant behavior because I put up with it. She said I was codependent and thus enabling him. She told me to read her list of self-help books. The titles were ominous. I am my own best friend. When women put up with too much blank shit, let's enable happiness. And the best-selling The Exaltation of Psychopaths. She said I needed to learn to stand up for myself, but what can I do? You get home from a 14-day cruise, you open the door, and boom, the entire floor is the cover of dried blood. I strode across that life-sucking maroon color, woke him up, and started to shriek. Of course, burgundy had nothing to do with the furniture and accessories I'd worked for years to acquire. Pissed off? You bet I was. I might have called him a selfish pig a few times, but he was. Imagine Buck being mad at me for calling the carpet man on the carpet and labeling him a selfish pig for not phoning me in Mexico and alerting me to Buck changing the order. Now, the color of the carpet may not seem like a very big deal to you, but let me tell you, I had earned that carpet. I had balanced household accounts, shopped only sales, and clipped coupons for years to get that carpet. I had spent weeks poring over color swatches for the perfect shade of aquamarine blue. In addition to all the domestic slave duties I performed, I had to put up with the other woman. Oh, I knew about all of them. Every so often he would try the old, honey, I've got to work late routine. That one was old, when cave women were sending their husbands out with the guys for the tribe to snag a woolly mammoth. Besides, he was such a bad liar it only insulted my intelligence. Once, after the burgundy carpet had been installed, one of his willowy girlfriends came to the house asking me to give him up. Getting rid of her was easy. All I had to do was show her the carpet, and she went running back to the Great Plains like a wounded antelope. You see, the women never really affected me. I had the kids, who were still young, and our house, which was almost paid for. He did whatever he wanted, but when his need to express himself took the form of changing the color of my carpet order, that was it. He'd gone one toke over the line. So I decided that I'd had enough. After all, a woman has to draw the line somewhere. My line was drawn on that fateful day 8 years ago when I opened the front door and I saw red. Getting back to the rest of what happened. After talking to my therapist, I realized that there was a conspiracy afoot, or rather a social contract gone terribly awry. I determined that no matter what he did to our family, or our home, or our mutual property, it would always be considered my fault. So I read all the self-help books and decided to help myself. I came up with a plan to get rid of him and, by so doing, get rid of that burgundy carpet and keep all of the aforementioned assets intact. Did you really think I was going to put up with having my home invaded? Think again. I implemented the multi-year plan and set about making it work. First, I resolved never to raise my voice. This was not easy, as there was much about which to yell. Then I decided to keep seeing my therapist just long enough to make everybody think that I was a good little wife working hard to keep my marriage together. What a joke! There were times when he would look at me and tell me that he didn't know what he would do without me. And I almost believed him, but all I had to do was look down at the floor, at that maroon blob stretching out from one room to another. One thing I do have to admit, however, whenever Marcy or Billy spilled anything on that carpet, it never showed. Not Kool-Aid, not ketchup, not pizza sauce, not even wild animal blood from when the dog went into the woods nearby and retrieved a freshly mauled raccoon carcass. Stains just disappeared right into it. It was like a black hole in space, only maroon. This factor was most convenient in the construction of the second phase of my plan. No stains, no problem. Now, when I really reflect on it, I think that Buck might have been subconsciously planning his own death when he changed my carpet order. It was only last week, when conditions were perfect to set the 8-year plan into motion. It was late Friday night. He was packing, getting ready for his golf tournament at the country club the next morning, which I happened to know was actually a tryst to be spent with his 24-year-old nail designer girlfriend named Teely. I had found out about her 2 days earlier when I discovered a bottle of nail enamel in the dash compartment of his car. With gloved hands, I examined the bottle. It was called Burgundy Harvest. Being the beginning of the Thanksgiving season, I thought it was aptly named. I continued working the plan and actually gave thanks for Teely as the inspiration for Phase 3. I timed it so that Billy was spending Thanksgiving away at college with a classmate, and Marcy, now 17, was on a senior retreat with her choral group. There was a concert scheduled for Sunday night. Both my kids are so grown up now. Sometimes I can't believe that they have had to spend their entire childhoods playing on that grotesque maroon carpet. After Buck loaded his overnight bag and golf clubs into the car, I asked him to join me in the kitchen to share a drink. When he walked in, I had his old-fashioned waiting for him, just like when we were first married. I was taking some hot peanut butter cookies, his favorite, out of the oven when he came up behind me and told me how much he loved me. He got all weepy about it, too. I listened as I shuffled cookies onto the cooling rack, acting like the soul of ladylike affability. The components of my plan could not have been more perfectly timed. He kept talking as he ate the warm cookies, one after another. He eats a lot when he's nervous. I knew the next thing coming out was a confession about yet another woman, but this one was different. Seems Teely was husband hunting when she managed to snag my husband. In his speech, he even proposed that the kids and I move out of our house while he and Teely start a new family in it. I could tell he was expecting me to become hysterical at this newest confession. Yet his concern for my emotional state didn't last long because suddenly he started feeling sleepy. I guided him to the couch in the family room, and while he was still awake, I explained to him that he had just swallowed enough temazepam to put King Kong to sleep. I didn't mention the antifreeze-laced old-fashioned. He tried to get to the phone just before he drifted away. This effort caused him to collapse and slide from the couch onto his maroon carpet. Now I had to move quickly. Loading my bike into his car, I hopped into the driver's seat and drove it to the unlit back parking lot of the country club, the one without security cameras. There, in the darkness, I took out my bike and pedaled back home. Thank heavens I work out. Returning home, I took up the carpet in the family room and, with the aid of some construction bags and carpet tape left over from the last carpet installation, rolled him right up into the middle of it. I use those sliders they sell on TV to move the furniture from the rest of the house into the family room. By the way, those things work great. When the carpet installers arrived Saturday morning, they never questioned why there was no carpet on the floor of the furniture-filled family room, nor did they mind helping me move the compact roll of carpet that was wrapped up in plastic, along with some old furniture from the family room, into the back of the haul-it-away truck I had rented. I told them I was going to take the furniture to the Junior League tag sale. As I drove off, I saw them fast at work, setting up to remove what was left of the maroon carpet in the other rooms and to lay the new one, which is the same color I chose all those years ago, crystal aqua blue. Driving off, I headed for the local landfill, which keeps its incinerator running on weekends. Stationed at a corner stop sign for a Saturday Community Relations Day, I saw Police Chief Neff, whose last campaign I helped fund. We waved a warm hello, and I kept on the task at hand. I dumped the carpet into the incinerator and at length watched the ashes as they were emptied into the bottom of the landfill crater. It was confirmed to me that the landfill trash hill, as my kids call it, would be leveled and officially closed by Wednesday. The city council has decided to repurpose the land to create a community recreational facility complete with a public golf course. I know Buck would appreciate attending a golf tournament after all. Next, I drove to the Junior League tag sale, dropped off my tax-deductible donations, and returned home to supervise the rest of the new blue carpet installation. Tilly called the house several times that afternoon, but she would hang up when I answered. Finally, she called pretending to be one of the country club golf tournament committee, telling me that my husband had not yet arrived. Of course, it took me until Saturday evening to make the necessary missing persons calls, and later Sunday morning for the maintenance people at the country club to let the police know that Buck's car had been found. By that time, the new carpet was laid and all the furniture was back in place. When I went to pay my bill this week, the carpet man spotted me. He thinks I've forgotten about the color switching stunt he and Buck pulled 8 years ago. He said he'd heard that my husband was missing and offered his condolences, plus a 10% discount. I accepted his sympathy, but turned down the discount. I never mind paying full price for something I've worked hard to get. Billy came over with some of his college buds the other night, part of the search effort. They spilled red burgundy wine on the new carpet in the family room. The stain isn't too bad. Only a slight trace of red still shows. Next month, there will be a groundbreaking ceremony for the new community golf course here in town, just in time for Christmas and the annual tree lighting in the park. Buck would have liked the idea of attending. I guess Billy will have to represent the family, since I have a scheduling conflict. I'm taking Marcy to Mexico. So far, no one has figured out what happened. Naturally, the police are still investigating Buck's disappearance. The last I heard, they were following up on clues and questioning Tilly, during which time they couldn't help but notice that her fingernails matched the burgundy harvest nail enamel found in my husband's car, not to mention the fingerprints found all over the bottle. Of course, this was in addition to her fingerprints, palm prints, and footprints all over his back seat windows. Then there were the hundreds of calls and texts they made back and forth the week and day of his disappearance. I guess she has some explaining to do. The new carpet looks great. Every time I walk into the house, I breathe a sigh of relief. I feel a wondrous cool wash away all those years of burgundy carpet. Sometimes I lie down right on the floor and imagine myself in the waters of Acapulco. I close my eyes and picture dolphins swimming around me. Every so often I drift into sleep, and suddenly the dolphins turn into sharks. They attack me, and in their frenzy, the crystal aqua blue water swirls back into the old blood-red burgundy. I wake up in a cold sweat, feeling cross and disoriented. But looking at that blue carpet just snaps me right out of it. After all, none of this would have happened if he'd only done what I told him. You have been listening to an excerpt from the book Christmas Noir and Other Holiday Treats by Minda A. Stevens, available on Amazon. This recording was edited by Johncarlos Lillo for Artful Orange Productions.